Yes.
And obviously all of them are culturally very different.
Yes.
They're being paid a lot more money than I'm getting paid.
Than you,
because
yes.
they're obviously a lot
And
more
you're the
experienced.
boss.
And I'm their boss.
Yeah.
So it was quite humbling, and you have to recognize they know a lot more than you do. They make a lot more money than you do.
Yeah, the reality is
but
on
they
the
still have to respect you because you're their boss.
You're the boss, yeah.
And that was my very early experiences of leading people who are smarter, way smarter than you, way more knowledgeable than you, and were way more accomplished than you. And you still have to create the trust. And that's,
the respect.
And the respect. And
your
that's a
leadership.
very important trait of leadership.
A big part of building a successful career is curiosity.
Curiosity.
Because when you are curious,
yes.
you go out of your way to learn how things work.
Absolutely. You must want it hard enough.
Yes.
Want it hard enough. Be curious enough to want to put in the time.
How did the ambition to join MIT specifically come? What triggered that thought?
I think
that I could actually sit these exams as a private student, and I know if I apply to MIT, maybe there's a chance I might be taken.
Yes.
Yeah? How did that come?
There's a lot of, we talk about role models, and there's a lot of room for role models. Because for me, I had seen two boys from Alliance go to MIT. Yeah?
Before you?
Before me. And I knew them.
Okay.
And having known them, when I visited MIT, I asked myself, how did they
were
get
there when
in?
you
They
were
were
in
there.
Brooks.
I didn't see them. I don't think I saw them. But they were there.
Okay.
And I asked myself, how did they get
here?
So I spent a lot of time in the admissions office at MIT.
Asking questions.
Just asking questions.
Looking for information.
Looking for information.
Wow.
What do I need to do? How can I get the application forms? Yeah?
Wow.
When must you have it? What do you need to see? So I spent a lot of time just researching what is required. So when I came back, I knew exactly what I needed to put together.
And you knew what they look for.
And I had an idea what they looked for.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I must say, at that point, I didn't have the application fee. And again, I turned to Mr. Kaemba, who was very kind to write a letter to them.
How much was it?
I think it was $60. I still remember.
$60. You didn't have $60.
I did not have $60. It was and still is a lot of money.
I know. Yeah. Someone might think only $60.
$60 today, right? Sounds little.
It's a drink for some people.
I know, for some people it's a
One
drink. That's 6,000 shillings today. It was a lot less then. I didn't have it. And so Mr. Kaemba wrote a letter to the school, to MIT, now explaining to them about, I'm a very poor boy.
You cannot
afford. But I believe he still qualifies. Please look at his application.
Even without the payment.
Even without the payment.
Wow.
And they did.
So even at this point, much as the school will be sad to lose you, Alliance that is,
yes,
they are still supporting you.
Yes.
To get to your ambition.
Indeed.
MIT.
The Alliance and still is, was very supportive to career advancement.
Yes.
Or growth. And for them, this was growth.
Yes.
So I don't think Alliance, anybody say don't go. I think they were all like rooting for me.
Okay.
Please go. And obviously at first when I got admitted, I must say when I first got admitted, I was very happy, but I did not tell my parents because obviously I could not afford it.
Yes.
Right?
You
So
get very scared.
Get very scared.
Yeah.
So when I went for the April holidays and I told my parents this news,
that you had been admitted
to MIT, they were happy but very upset.
Yes.
And they were upset because they could not afford it.
Yes.
And they said, you went there, you knew we cannot afford it.
Why did you go to all the trouble?
Why would you even go to all the trouble?
Yes.
Just so we can disappoint you, tell you we cannot. So I remember we went for 2 weeks with my dad without talking to each other because he was that upset. That, what is it? Why am I messing my life up on things that he knows we cannot afford?
Yeah.
But luckily, for me, I'd also applied for financial aid. And so when I went back to school, when school reopened, letter came again, offering me
Now this
pretty
is
much
the second term
the second term
of Form 6.
from 6.
Yeah.
A letter actually came offering me pretty much full scholarship.
Full scholarship. Wow.
So I was very happy. I knew now I can go.
But you still
Now all I
needed
need
to
to
get
raise
the
is,
ticket.
ticket
Yeah.
and some pocket money.
And pocket money.
So I went back home.
Yeah.
I asked for time to go talk to my folks again. I went back home and I went and told them, now being admitted, as you know, I've gotten scholarship.
Yes.
But the ticket
We
and
have
some
to
pocket
raise
money
it.
we have to raise.
Yes.
So my father thought about it, told him how much we need to raise. He said, okay, I still can't afford it. We couldn't get that kind of money still. But I'll talk to a number of friends. So he talked to a number of friends and they did a big harambe. Those
Wow.
days you did a big harambe.
How much money do they need to raise?
They needed to
For
raise was 80,000 was the ticket then. 80,000 shillings, which was about what? It was about $1,000, I think.
Yeah, but that
Then
was a lot of
It's a
money.
long,
that time.
still a lot of money.
It was a lot of money.
It was $1,000-something then, actually. And then I needed another 80,000 for pocket money.
For your
So
subsistence.
those two
at
subsidies.
least
So
the first few
160,000 is what I needed then.
days. Yeah.
It was a lot of money then.
Yeah.
So we did a harambe. And I must say, some of the people who contributed to my harambe, I met them later in life. And I'm very, very glad that they did, because that's really what enabled me to go.
To go.
To go to MIT, yeah.
MIT, here we come.
Yes.
Are you feeling lucky? It's finally happened.
It's finally happened. Absolutely.
How are you feeling now at this time?
Now I'm feeling really, really lucky. You know, you've left Kenya. I have not finished my A-levels that I said, so I'm sort of a school dropout, but obviously I've jumped a year ahead. Remember at the beginning I said I went to school late.
Yes.
So now
you've gained
I'm
1
catching
year.
up. Now I've gained 1 year, so I'm sort of catching up with my colleagues.
Your peers.
So I was feeling quite lucky. I had a chance to go to the US, as I said, to do the Brooks program. So I had some expectations.
Yes.
I landed in the US, I remember was about 26th of August. And it was hot. You land in Boston at that time, it's hot. It's summer, top of summer. Wow. I landed at about 11 o'clock. By the time I made it to school was about 1 a.m. So I made it to MIT. School has not opened. So there are few people on campus.
It's August,
yeah.
and
It's
they're
August.
opening September.
And usually they get the international students to come early for orientation. So we're coming a bit earlier for orientation. And I remember going to, by the time I took a taxi to the school, I get to the school at about 1 a.m., close to 2 a.m. I go to the student center, it's pretty much empty, nobody's there. There's a lady who was cleaning, you know, wearing headphones. That time there was the Walkman, as you used to call them. So she's wearing headphones from a Walkman.
That was the gadget of the time.
The gadget of the time.
Yeah.
So she's cleaning, and I go to her and I say, excuse me.
You're looking for directions.
I'm looking for directions.
Yes.
She completely ignores me. Excuse me, I'm looking for, can you help me?
Nothing.
Completely ignored. And I thought to myself, where have I come to? What a terrible place. So I sat down on the couch there, trying to figure out my next move. Luckily, there were some graduate students actually who were passing by, and they asked me hi, and I said hi, and they said, are you one of the international students? I said yes, I just arrived there because they could see the luggage. Just arrived and I don't know where to go.
You even have your bags with you.
I've got my bags, everything.
Yes.
So they're the ones who actually directed me where to go. So by the time I get into my room, it's about 2:30 a.m. time I'm shown where to go to sleep. 2:30 a.m. I opened the door, and there were 2 banker beds, you know, those bottom bed and up.
Yes.
And I remember walking in, I turned on my lights, and there's a guy sleeping on a lower bed, and I was going to go onto the upper bed. And he pulled his bed sheet, looked at me, this dark guy, I could tell he's from Africa, then he says, Jambo.
What?
And I said, Jambo. And he says, oh, you must be African. And I said, yes, I am. Then he went back to sleep.
Oh,
So I
now
said,
you are feeling
I felt-
like
now
you're
I'm
in
feeling
more
like I'm welcome.
familiar
Yeah, I am
grounds.
familiar ground. And,
Yeah.
and that was my welcome to MIT. So a woman who would talk to me at all, and another gentleman who is talking to me in almost Swahili.
Yes.
And so I felt really, really good. So that was my first night at MIT. I've never really forgotten, just because, well, the guy who said Jumbo ended up becoming one of my best friends.
So where was this guy from?
So this guy was from Ghana, although he had come via, Papua New Guinea. So he'd actually gone to school in Papua New Guinea and Australia. That's where he'd come from. But his parents were from Ghana. They were just professors in University of Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, isn't it nice when you hear someone speak in
So it was very
Swahili
good.
and you're feeling,
yes,
wow.
I felt welcome. So
Finally, I feel
by
at
following
home.
morning, we sort of became friends, and
You talked a bit,
we've been really good friends ever since. No, so that was the story of the Jumbo.
The welcome.
The story of the lady who would not talk to me is that I later found out she was actually from, I think, Mexico. And did not speak a word of English.
Oh.
So it wasn't that she was ignoring me. She actually did not understand.
She had no idea what to tell you.
Yes.
Or what you're saying.
Exactly.
Don't we judge people sometimes and we have no idea where
before
they are
you know
coming
their story?
from?
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. God bless her. Wow. So how did now the education part go when you finally started?
So MIT was interesting. First of all, you go there with a big head. You know, you're smart. As I said, at Alliance, I was the top student. When I go to MIT, we had been conditioned to think Americans don't study too hard. Therefore, you're going to go and you're going to be the best student.
Yes.
But shock on to me, MIT had very, very smart people.
You found
I
good
met
people.
some of the smartest people in the world.
Wow.
Absolutely. People who, you know, I didn't study too much myself, but people who not study at all, and the following day when we do exams, they are
top.
Top, yeah?
Yes.
And that intrigued me a lot. But I got very involved in a lot of things, student housing leadership. I got myself quite ingrained. At some point, by the third year, I was president of the African Association.
Wow.
With the gentleman being the secretary, that guy from
your
Ghana
friend from
was now the secretary.
Yes, okay.
And met some really good people. I was also then involved in the Free Mandela movement. Mandela was still in prison.
He was still in prison. It was still apartheid time.
It was still apartheid time.
Yeah.
So I was in the Free Mandela movement. So when I see Gen Z
what did you
movement
do?
today,
You were
I
doing
remember those days, mobilization.
For meetings.
With a mobilization, a lot of demonstrations, collecting contributions and sending them to help the ANC then. So we were quite involved, and I must say, as luck would have it, when Mandela was finally released and he made his maiden tour to the US, he actually spoke at the Boston Commons.
Wow.
And I was one of the people who met him.
Wow.
There. So
you had played a significant
role on this movement. So that was a highlight.
So
actually.
For you, watching Mandela becoming the president was a big thing.
It was a big thing.
It was a big thing.
Exactly, because I was an activist. We had done all these things on our little small things. I mean, not big, but our little small things we had done in our own way.
Yeah.
So to see him released, then come and visit, and then had a chance to actually shake his hand was fantastic.
Wow, that's a great man to have shook hands with.
You know, exactly.
You know, Angari Madai, one of the lessons I learned from her was when you have the chance, do the best that you can. It's never too late.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I imagine you took the same principle.
The same principle. Do the best you can with what you have.
Your contribution at the end of the day mattered a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So what about on the career side?
The career side, so I decided to study electrical engineering. That was by almost default, to tell you the truth.
Why
I was good in math, I was good in physics, I was good in sciences. But really I was equally good on other things. And in fact, as you might remember when you went to Form 5 those days, you had to choose. Which subjects to do.
Either science or humanities.
And humanities.
Yeah.
And Alliance had this thing that if you're very good, you sort of were driven towards the sciences. Yeah?
Yes.
So I was one of those who had done well in all my subjects. And so I could choose either. But the school sort of tells you the way you have done.
It leads you to
I
a
think you should
certain
do
direction.
sciences. I think you're a science person. So
So
that's what I did.
So for you, it was a continuation of what you had already started.
We'd already started.
A-levels.
In A-levels.
Okay.
At A-levels, I decided I'm going to do engineering. Therefore, I just continued with my engineering, electrical engineering.
Yes.
And MIT, being a very big engineering institute, was the right place for what I wanted to do. So I was very happy to be doing that.
Yes.
I learned a great deal. It's very practical. This was when internet was being founded, so we were some of the people testing the very early versions of the internet.
Trying to understand how it works.
Yes, the web was being tested then at MIT, and we were the very first ones to test it. Today we talk about AI like it's nothing. We used to test AI models at that point at MIT. So it was a real cutting edge research that was going on. But the good thing about MIT, whatever is cutting edge, they test it with students.
So
you may not even know you're being tested, but you're using the tools.
It's not just theory.
Yeah, it's not just theory.
It's learning with very practical
very practical practice.
Yeah,
so actually
an application.
Absolutely. So a lot of it was application. Today we stream Netflix like it's nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, streaming was being tested
that time
at the MIT Media Labs. I still remember very well. It was they were trying to figure out how they can be streamed. And so all those things that we see today that we take for granted.
You are way ahead of us, because it came here much later. Much
here it comes when it's commercial. It was being developed there.
Yes.
And then my own research, some of the work that I did was, back then for computers, they had just become what we call today desktops. They didn't have laptops.
Yes.
They had desktops.
Yes.
Which is the computer you find on a desk.
And they were big.
And they were fairly big
ones, yeah.
But more importantly, the power for computer used to be a box on the side.
Yes.
A fairly big box as well. So my research was actually my professor and I worked on the research to create what's called miniature power, which now within the computer, within the laptop, there's a power supply inside. So today you just plug it into the wall.
Yeah.
But you don't understand that in there there's a power supply inside, takes the power, changes it into the power that can be used within that computer. Otherwise, direct power will burn your computer. So that big box, we took it from big box to create the miniature ones. And one of the, actually, if you look at the US Patent Office, you'll see my name, as my thesis was on creating those little miniature powers.
And making it part of the gadget,
part of the gadget. Now. Indeed, so the way you today you don't know where the power supply is. It's within the computer.
Wow.
Yes, that's what I worked on for my thesis.
So we can also now describe you as an inventor.
Call me an inventor.
A serious investor.
At that point. But as somebody said, I did not register the invention myself. I registered the theory, and somebody else took it to invent it.
And commercialized it.
My name appears as a reference, a lot as a reference for the person who actually then commercialized it.
Wow, we're always wiser in hindsight.
You're wiser in hindsight.
If you knew then that what you know now,
what I know now,
you'd have registered it and you'd be earning a little bit of money from there.
Indeed.
Okay, that's great. Anything else that happens in MIT?
So I talked about student leadership. That I did was good to be involved in leadership because we used to invite wonderful speakers from all over the world to come and speak during our events. And we had many good events. We used to be involved with the school government, like the school president, about matters to do with foreign students and how they should be, their special needs that they may have.
Yes.
So we were involved in shaping that policy and the services, even the admission processes, what they should look at when they are looking at international students, especially those from Africa.
Yes.
So we did a lot of influencing at that point, and I feel that was actually quite important. We also brought a lot of companies from Africa to hire. To hire Africans to bring them back.
To take the students.
In Kenya then, East African Industries would come and hire some of us to come back, and some people are hired to come back to Kenya.
To Kenya.
Directly from MIT. So those are some of the things that I'm proud of having done while I was there.
Okay, so we can say you are an engineer, but you are very people-facing.
I was very people-facing.
All through.
All through.
You loved dealing with people, finding solutions here.
Finding solutions. I was, a bit of politics, not much, but a bit of politics. But I was very much a people leader, face people, and talk to people. So back to what I said, my father had challenged me.
Yes.
That challenge always played out. That you should be talking to people and leading to
making it better and better, what he had taught you.
Yes.
Okay, so you did the degree successfully?
Yes, successfully.
And then?
So I did my bachelor's, I did my master's as well in engineering.
Oh, you did the same, one after the other?
Electro-engineering, yep.
Immediately after?
I did my master's. And then to the point of people, where I was deciding now where to go after that. I really I narrowed my choices down, and I said, first thing was understanding your capability and your passion. And one thing I was very clear at this point was I like talking to people.
Yes.
I like talking to people. Now, when I was doing my research for my thesis, I was doing it in a basement lab. Yeah. The lab was in the basement of the building.
Of the building.
And there it's you and machines, right? It's you, your machines, you have set up oscilloscopes, all kind of things, gadgets, and you're talking to them all day. And I felt so uncomfortable. I said, this is not me.
I don't want to talk
this
to machines.
This is not me. I cannot be doing this for a living. And so when I was, after my master's, I said, one thing I like to do is talk to people. So I said, if I'm going to be an engineer, I'll be a professor. So I became very sure I'll be a professor. Yeah. And so my choice became then continue to do my PhD. Yeah. Yes. Or if I'm going to industry, has to be a job that involves talking to people. Facing. Has to be people facing.
Now, before you go to that,
yes,
you did a Harambee.
Yes.
To get your fare.
To get my fare.
And your initial subsistence.
Yes.
But I imagine life out there is not easy.
Yes.
How did you survive for, how many years were you in MIT?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
How did you sustain yourself?
Yeah, so
tuition is fully paid.
Sure.
But you have to eat and drink and all these other needs.
Yes.
What happened?
So I did a lot of on-campus work. Luckily, MIT had a lot of work for students, and indeed my financial package included getting work on campus.
Oh, I see.
So they count that as part of your financial package.
Yes.
And so I started off working in the library. Perhaps the job I've hated most even today. No offense to librarians,
the library.
That was the worst job I ever did. Because my job was to stack books on the shelves. And I tell you, I am a very logical person. If I stack books this way, they need to stay that way. And me personally, when I remove a book, I try to return it where I got it from.
Where you got it from.
I just naturally...
You're that organized.
I'm that organized,
So me, I come and just leave it on the table.
Yeah, I'm not...
And you've done so much work, arranging them and... What do you call those? That's
exactly.
Chronology.
You know? I'm not naturally organized in my life, but when it comes to, what is that way, OCD, I'm a bit OCD.
You like
I have
order.
to put things in order, yeah? So I will put things where I got it from.
Yes.
And even my house, it's not very well structured, but where I put my things, that's where you find them every day. There. That way, but if you move it, I'm confused.
You are totally lost.
Totally lost.
Yeah.
So being that kind of person, when you work in a library and you arrange books, and I would arrange books very nice, and behind me there'll be a character or a couple of people who are doing research, and they'll take a book, open one page, drop it on the floor.
Then go take another one.
I'm like,
what's wrong with
people? What's wrong with people? And I used to get so upset. So by the time I'm done working, I come out there just fuming.
How long did you do that?
I did that for one. I did not stay for long. 1 semester only.
You couldn't take it anymore.
I could not take it anymore. So from there I moved and I got another job, which was more heavier duty because I actually would transport books and paperwork from the printing store
yes.
on campus to various classrooms or lecture halls.
Or the
so
library?
Exam materials, whatever, they'll be transferred or to a library whenever they were required. So that was my job.
Yes.
So I'd come there with a trolley, fill up cartons and cartons of paper,
and the
take them to the instructions to take them. Back then, kids didn't have computers, so you actually, the professor would print out lectures. And then they would be taken to class, distributed. So that's what I would do. So that was my job.
Okay.
And I actually, looking back, I enjoyed it.
That was more interesting than the library one.
Yes, the work was more physically demanding. But the people you interacted with, first of all, were good people.
Yes.
Library, you are alone.
Yes.
Nobody's talking to you, just people removing books, dropping them, and you having to come back and clean after them. This one, I would spend quite a bit of time at the printing store, and the manager there was an old gentleman that we had become very good friends with. We would have many stories to tell. People who worked there, you'd have many stories to tell.
Okay.
So that was very good. I got to know a lot of professors again, because they would be telling me what to take their paperwork and what I need to check before I take it. So I made very good friends who are professors, or even when I'm sitting there, I'm reading some materials that professors are teaching in other classes just to find out
what's going on.
So actually, that one I enjoyed. That one I enjoyed. But still, I'm not made for manual work.
You remembering your father's words?
Yes, I'm not made for manual work.
You now just transport those words. Not farming this time.
Exactly.
But still,
exactly.
So I'm not becoming an engineer to do this, right?
This is not me.
No.
So at the end of first year, so I've gone there August, semester 1 ends in December, semester 2 begins in end of January, February, then until May, June. So by that time, I met a friend of mine, or a gentleman who was in my class. I wouldn't say necessarily a friend of mine, an American guy. And I asked him, so he told me, I asked him what he does because he was also working.
He's also a student.
He's also a student. He told me, no, I'm working as a computer support. Now, actually, what happened was, at the printing shop, there was a problem with the computers. Now, laptops at this point had started coming. And they had a problem with computers. And when they called for support, my classmate came to help. So I said, wait a minute, you're the guy who...
what do you do here?
Yeah, he said, I'm here to help with computer problems.
They have a problem.
Said, so what do you do? Tell me, he works in the Center for Computer Support. I said, oh, really? But you're in my class. He said, yes. I said, so how do you get to work there? To me, well, you have to be good with computers and, blah, 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 blah. I said, oh, really? Yeah, that's what I need to do. Yeah. So I said, who is your manager? So he gave me a name. Her name is Joanne. I still follow her on LinkedIn. And I called Joanne and I went to see her. Went to see her and
now
I said,
the boss
the
of
boss.
This guy. I
said, Joanne, I'm interested in working here. What do I need? She told me, are you good at computers? I said, not really. You need to be able to fix computers. You need to be able to dismantle and fix a computer. You have to be able to program. You have to be able to do this. I say, really? Okay. So I thought to myself, there's no way I can get this job.
I have no idea how.
So I asked, how much does it pay? Oh, it was paying double what I was earning. I said, wait a minute.
I will reserve the comment.
Wait a minute. Still, it's
So
not a lot of money.
what moved you is the money?
What it was paying. I said, my goodness, surely.
Double.
Are you looking for people? She said, yeah, we'll be looking for people. People who are graduating are leaving, and we will be.
Oh, they need replacements.
They need replacements, obviously.
Yeah.
So I said, please, I'm coming back. That week I went home. Bought whatever savings I had. I went and bought a computer.
What? And
just taught myself. For 3-4 weeks, all I did was dismantle the computer, fix it, try to program, learn to program. I mean, computers were simple then to do. And I did that, and by the time 3-4 weeks ended, I was very sure if you ask me about anything about a computer, I can probably answer.
After 3 weeks?
3 weeks. But I wasn't sleeping. This is like... Every day you come home, that's all you do. Sleeping at 4 a.m., So you're doing, you know, when you're young, you can stay until 4 a.m. and still be productive the following day.
Yes.
These days, I don't know about you.
Yeah, you can't do that now.
It's not possible.
Yes.
I did that, and when I went back, so Joanna, I told her,
after 3 weeks, you go to Joanna and give me work now.
I'm ready.
I can do it.
She tested me. Said, okay.
You're good.
A few areas of improvement, but I think we can.
You can work.
We can start you off.
Yes.
That's how I started with my computer.
So you got a job with computer support.
Computer support.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's so. Throughout, then the rest of the time I was at MIT, I worked there for a couple of years. This is, for about a year and a half actually. Then I got, now having become very good, in one of the departments I was supporting, it was called Center for Advanced Studies, where they would get students, but they were industry practitioners. They would come to do a master's or continuing education.
Yes.
So that was the Center for Advanced Studies. It was really for industry. There were, at some point, I had helped them during these call-outs, going to help them.
Or when they need support.
They need support. So I met the leader of the department. And so when they needed now to get an in-house computer person, they called me and they said, would you want a job here?
Oh.
And again, it was paying quite a bit more than I had.
Not even double now. Huh?
No, it was paid a lot more, and
wow.
You get to get an office. I mean, it's a real job.
It's a real job.
It's a real job. They gave me an office, everything.
So which year are you in now?
No, I'm in third year.
Third year.
I'm in third year.
Okay.
Going to fourth year. So I took that job, and then I became part of that program. And again, I met a lot of interesting people. One of my best friends in Kenya actually was a gentleman I met there. He used to work with, I think, Kenya Airways, and then he was a lecturer. And so he had come to get his master's in transport studies.
Yes.
So we became very good friends. Even today, he's one of my best friends. And then made many other friends who were in that. You know, the guy who was doing my job before was a PhD student.
Yes.
And indeed, he was one of the people who helped me make a decision on careers.
Yes.
Because he was doing double PhD in aeronautics and electrical engineering.
Wow.
And so when he finished, he went to be a lecturer. Well, one of the jobs he got was to be a lecturer at, I believe, Harvard at that point. And so he was the kind of guy I was asking a lot about careers when I was also finishing
exactly
how this works. And we shared an office with him. So it was real helpful, you know, to meet people who are in industry. They help you understand the industry, careers outside of MIT. So I gathered a lot of information so that by the time I was now looking for work myself, had a lot of good information.
You knew exactly what to look out for.
Yeah.
So I think what you're telling, especially the young people, is they need to get a lot of information from people who have traveled the path before them. Yes. Because that will enable them to make the right decisions. I mean, we say you don't have to reinvent the wheel or make the same mistakes that people ahead of you did.
That's I think for me, the lessons are exactly that. And a lot of it is what connections do. When we talk about connections and networking, in everything that I've mentioned, there was an element of networking. Yes. Right? It didn't happen by, I saw it in the papers I applied. A lot of it was
background work,
networking,
a lot of work.
Background work, but also the networks.
So and so.
This gentleman came to fix computers where I was. Asked him, what do you do?
Yes.
And that's how I found out about what he does, and he took me to the boss. Then you put in you have to do the hard work. You have to do the hard work. The next job I got was because I used to go repair their computers or teach them about new programs.
Yes.
And again, you know, when the opening came up, I was the first person they were thinking about because they networked with them well, they knew of me.
And they already knew what you could have done. They already knew
what he can do.
Yes.
And then when I was graduating, the fact that I met all these people who were in industry, the networks, I had used them to understand how is it like to work in the industry. How do you make career choices? Yes. What mistakes have you made yourself and would you do differently?
So the good,
and
the
those
bad,
networks are very, very useful. You understand a lot by just listening and talking to people. It's not networks. I see networks. A lot of people think networks is where I can call and say, Mary, can you get me a job?
Yeah.
That's not a network.
And they have no idea
That's not a
what you
network.
can do.
A network is when they talk to you. Mary, how did you do it?
Yes.
Who should I talk to? Is that more mentorship, coaching?
Where do I need support?
Where do I need support? I'm trying to get so and so. Do you know them? Can you? Yeah? Can you introduce me to them? That's what networks do.
It's all about.
But this thing of Mary, I'm at home, get me a job. That's not networking.
It doesn't work. But we also say that a big part of building a successful career is curiosity.
Curiosity.
Because when you are curious, you go out of your way to learn how things work.
Absolutely. You must want it hard enough.
Yes.
Want it hard enough. Be curious enough to want to put in the time.
Yeah.
Because all these things, people see success, they see you and they say, Mary has gotten all these opportunities. When you read like your book, The Village Girl, the amount of work you've had to put a lot of things you've had to learn.
Yes.
And when I read it, I self-questioning, can I do this? Then you say, I can.
Yeah.
And I will do whatever it takes to get it done.
To get it done.
And that's what it takes in all these things. Yeah.
Yes.
Indeed.
Wonderful. Now you look like you really love engineering.
Yes.
So how now did we go now to Wharton Business School?
Yes. So I loved engineering.
Tell us the Wharton story now.
So I loved engineering. I enjoyed it immensely. And as I said, as I was graduating from MIT, I asked myself, what is it I can do well? And I said, what I like is talking to people. So when it came to career choices, as I said, was either if I'm going to continue engineering, I'm going to be a professor. I was very clear in my mind. So I'm applying for PhD, that's what I'm going to do. However, I said to myself, now, the gentleman I mentioned who was going to be a lecturer at Harvard helped me in the sense that I talked to him about what's the job like, how much will you make, blah, blah. So he'd given me all those numbers, right? So in my naivety then, which turned out to be genius, I said to myself, if I can get a job that pays me more than he's going to make. What this
guy is going to make.
Because he has done his 2 PhDs and I know how much he's going to make.
Were you feeling like...
Then I'll probably take the job.
did I go to MIT all these years to get that kind of a salary? That
kind of money. So just being ambitious. It wasn't bad, but I was like, if I can do
John,
better.
You had just tasted money. And
it wasn't... Well, but remember, I had already decided it has to be a job where I talk to people.
To people,
so at least I narrowed it down.
Yes.
I knew even if you gave me an engineering job, I would not take it.
You would still not be comfortable.
I wouldn't be comfortable. But then it was about, if I can get a job where I talk to people, and it's paying me more than this option, which is to stay and be a lecturer and a professor, then I should go for this option. If it meets the criteria of I must be talking to people. And so I got a number of offers in consulting and investment banking. So both of them qualified as in the people aspect, to be a lot of people interaction.
Yes.
So that's how I ended up in going to Wall Street. Now, I didn't go there to do banking per se. I actually went there to do IT.
Or you're doing consulting in IT?
Would have been consulting in IT and management. Management and IT consulting. So that was one option, the job offers I got. And then I got Wall Street. And Wall Street was IT work, to work in the bank in IT.
Okay.
But the program was structured so that you come, you dedicate 2 years of IT work, and then you can get a job anywhere within the investment bank.
Okay.
So I said, you know what?
There's a pathway to branch out.
It's a pathway to branch out.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up actually going on to Wall Street. I went to work for a bank called, that time it was called CS First Boston, which became Credit Suisse, which unfortunately recently was acquired by UBS. Died, got into trouble, but it was a wonderful bank then.
During its heyday, Credit Suisse was one of the best employers that any graduate would have ever wanted to work for.
It's a fantastic employer.
Very good. Yeah.
So I went there to do IT, and but it was a very people side of IT. It was what you call implementation.
Okay.
In fact, we used to call it technology enablement, was the name of the department.
So technically, what would you do? You would be sent to a business to go and
Yeah,
work with them?
So my first big job, for example, was actually email was just becoming common.
Yes.
There was no email before. As I said, at MIT we had email because we were testing it. But our industry were now adapting to email. So my first job was actually to move staff onto email.
Yes.
At the bank.
Yes.
And to move them meant that, so when I joined, remember the first year I was there, you'd come in the morning and on your chair there'll be printed memos. You know, what we call memos today, you get them on email.
Yeah, yeah.
But every night somebody will print them and
put them on every desk.
On everybody's desk, right? So when you come in the morning, on your chair there'll be 5 memos. Memo from the CEO, memo from this, memo from HR, memo from this, There'll be paperwork. So you take and you have to read all your memos.
Yes.
And my first job was to eliminate paper memos. So getting everybody onto email. So that was what technology enablement was.
So were you training them how to use email?
Come, install,
and then connect
them. Yeah, come, install, train, show you how to use it, set up your accounts.
Yes.
That was my job. That's what my team would do.
Okay.
Move people from mainframe to desktops. Again, a lot of people used to work on mainframes. So moving them there to desktop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the other job I was doing. Soon enough, I was now leading a team. I was appointed to lead a team to do some programming, which I hadn't done before. That was interesting.
It's another first.
That was a first. I was just picked. And interesting enough, again, connections and networking.
Wow.
My boss got married to a lady within the organization. The lady he married was leading a team. She was doing some programming. And so she must have asked him, I'm looking for somebody to lead my team. Can you get me somebody? So he was told, so he told her, there's a gentleman who works for me, his name is John.
I would recommend him.
He's very good. I don't know whether he has programmed before, but I think he's very good at what he does.
Wow.
I want to recommend him.
Give him a chance.
So when I was offered that, in fact, I remember telling my boss then, his name was Stuart. I told Stuart, Stuart, now, you know, I've never programmed, my friend. What am I supposed to do? I'm going to support Rena, was her name, the wife. And from what I've seen, what she wants is somebody who can program. I
have no idea.
Never done it. Not only to program, but you want me to lead the team.
Yes.
Which I've never done. And I remember Stuart going, says, okay, let me go think about it. The following morning he comes and tells me, John,
you will do it.
How long do you want me to sleep on the couch? That's what he asked me.
What?
And I said, well, okay.
This is serious.
This is serious. So I said, okay, I'll try it. So I went to do that. And again, really early opportunity of leadership. Was I had worked for just less than a year at this point.
Yeah.
I'm being asked to lead this other team.
Yes.
Where the people under me are programmers. People, I mean, I had one guy who was like 50-something years old.
Technically competent than you.
Yeah, they were in their 50s, some of them, because they have been programmers.
Yes.
And I'm asked to lead them.
Yes.
And that was interesting, because now you are the guy who is... My main job was to obviously interface between the programmers and the department we were programming for. It was a finance department. We were building some applications for the finance department.
Yeah.
So that was my job, to interface, understand what they need, make sure we program, we deliver, we package it well. You know, the whole process of building a new application.
Yeah.
I taught myself quite a bit of programming in the meantime.
So you are self-teaching yourself again.
Because I have to, when you're leading,
you have to up
to check some things, game, you know, and people respect you if you know what you're doing. Huh?
Yes.
So I had to teach myself actually quite a bit
you have to
of
ask
programming.
Some tough questions.
You have to ask your questions.
You can't ask if you don't understand how the
system
works.
So I remember I had a number of teams, and you also culturally, it's quite. It was quite an experience, because I had a team that was led by a gentleman from India, a really smart guy. Another team was the leader was a guy from Russia, who again brilliant. A bit older, and one that was now working to interface with the mainframe, who was, he must have been, he's American but of Chinese origin.
Okay.
So those are my direct reports,
Yes,
yeah?
yes.
And obviously all of them are culturally very different.
Yes.
They are being paid a lot more money than I'm getting paid.
Than you,
because
yes.
they're obviously a lot
And
more
you're the
experience.
boss.
And I'm their boss.
Yeah.
So it was quite humbling, and you have to recognize they know a lot more than you do. They make a lot more money than you do.
Yeah, the reality is
But they still have to respect you because you're their boss.
You're the boss, yeah.
And that was my very early experiences of leading people who are smarter, way smarter than you, way more knowledgeable than you, and were way more accomplished than you. And you still have to create the trust. And
the respect.
And the respect.
In
And
your
that's a
leadership.
very important trait of leadership.
Okay.
So you asked me about
And
Wharton.
the cross-cultural dynamics.
Dynamics,
also, I'm sure you had to
exactly.
handle that. You have the Chinese, you have the Philippines, you have the Africans.
Yes, yes.
Everyone is there.
Everybody's there.
Yeah.
So, but the program I was hired into, so as I said, you come into a IT program after 2 years, then you're free to look.
To go.
So they used to hire, that time we had 45 people from various schools into a program. It was called Techno Associate Program. And then you're allocated to teams. So the team I was allocated to was that technology enablement team. Now I'm running programming here. But we would meet because we get trained together as a 45. Would meet, we had a program leader who would meet, would have some activities together. And again, I was sort of natural noisemaker, a bit of a leader within that group.
Yes.
And myself and this gentleman, he was of Egyptian origin, American of Egyptian origin. We were sort of the people who are noisemakers.
You are still
leaders would ask most questions and so on.
That trait has continued.
Had continued. So at some point, this gentleman got a job now in the banking side. Yeah, in we used to call it the asset finance side, not the asset finance we know today.
Yes.
That was securitization.
I see.
Asset securitization team. And he went there and he was building models for them. So at some point in my second year, doing what I was doing, leading this team now, he then was asked to find somebody else to come and work with him.
And replace him.
And luckily we had been,
very close.
We're not necessarily, we weren't close as friends, but we were ringleaders.
And you were working together.
And we had known what we were capable of. We were probably the people who were doing very well, the two of us. So he said, again, I know a guy. So that was the whole networking thing. I know a guy who we should talk to.
It.
And that's how I got a call. Told John, there's a job we're looking for here. Would you come talk to us?
Wow.
So I said, sure. And actually, the day I showed up, I didn't know I was going for an interview. I'm wearing jeans, dressed very casually. I show up, and I'm told, "Oh, we are interviewing you for a job." Okay.
And you're like, "Wow."
So I had the interviews, and the following day I was told,
"You have the job."
You have the job.
What?
So that's how I transitioned to the banking
Into the
side.
banking side.
The banking
now you're
side.
in the banking side.
On the banking side.
So this after 2 years.
This is after 2 years.
After 2 years. Okay.
So we're building models, and then after you build models, you start having to go explain them to clients. We're creating bonds, basically. You create bonds for sale. So you're talking to salespeople, you're talking to investors. Then you start talking now to clients from whom you are buying these assets to go and securitize.
Because they also have
or
to
helping them
understand
securitize.
how it works.
Yes, or you're helping them securitize. Because some of it is not you. You're helping them create these bonds and selling them.
So they have to understand.
Yeah, you're basically raising funds for them. That's your job.
Okay.
Using their assets. You are playing the advisory role, essentially. Or we call it a lead arranging role. Arranging for the clients.
Different clients.
So then you start going to talk to them about the business. And before you know it, you're the guy in charge of talking to them. Wow. So I realized a number of things. One, I needed to improve myself on the marketing front now. One was, I'm speaking with these clients from all over America, and a lot of them did not understand my accent. So that was problem number one.
Okay.
Yeah? And that came across very well when I would go to meetings. I'm the senior person, but they prefer to speak to my juniors, who is American.
They can understand.
Because they can understand what they're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. And some places I was very embarrassed because I'd say something, they would ask my junior.
What did he say?
What did he say? Right. So that was one problem I noticed I needed to work on.
Wow.
How did I work on it? I actually went to accent reduction school. Went to New York University, asked them whether they had a program that works on people's accents. And luckily they told me, we don't do it at school, but we have a external provider.
You have someone who does it.
Who provides for some of our staff and students. And they referred me, and that's how I actually worked on my accent. So my very strong central
it was neutralized.
Accent ya Mulima needed to be neutralized a bit.
It was neutralized.
So I went through that program, which was very useful actually.
Yes.
Because I became very confident in the way I talk now to people, right?
And now people would listen.
Yeah, now people would listen.
When you talk.
Command the room, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was one. The second thing I looked at was what it takes to be a managing director on Wall Street. And to be a managing director means is really being a partner. It's like in a law firm.
Yes.
How do you become a partner?
The
senior-most person is a managing director. It's the biggest title you could get. And at that level, you're now sharing profits, everything.
And you're very well remunerated.
Exactly. So even the CEO is a managing director.
Yes.
Our CEO, you have to be a managing director. Then within the managing directors, then you choose who is going to be your CEO for the period. That's how it worked. So I looked at that and I realized there were very few, at that time there were very few black managing directors on Wall Street, very few.
Most of them are white.
They're all white. Africans even fewer. There were about maybe 4.
Wow.
Remember 2 from Nigeria, I think certainly one from Kenya. I'm not counting South Africans because South Africans were mostly white.
Yeah, they're
all white.
South Africans.
So those were many white South Africans. But I looked at that, and I looked at the black managing director to see what they had.
Yes.
And each of them had gone to Harvard Business School, Stanford, Wharton, Ivy Leagues.
Yeah.
And I said, wait a minute. I never want somebody to tell me I cannot be.
Because you haven't gone to Harvard.
And that's how Wharton came about.
Oh, nice.
Said I must go get my MBA
for me to now qualify.
So nobody can ever tell me.
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't necessarily necessary.
Yes.
But I didn't want anybody to say the reason.
You were already experienced, but you felt like that paper would help you.
I felt that paper should never be the reason it should never be the reason I don't get it.
Yeah, and you will get it very easily with your experience and competencies. Wow, that's amazing. So you did the executive MBA.
So I did my executive MBA
Wharton.
At Wharton. It was a great program. It's a 2-year program, just like a regular MBA program. You go, I think it was every other weekend. You go on campus. And then you do a lot of homework at home, but you still get the full experience of Wharton.
So did you have to resign from your job to do this?
No.
Or you were able to do
I was able to do both. I mean, I would not encourage it, but it's... because if you're working very hard and doing this, it's very tough. But I did. I did at the same time.
Okay.
They arrange it quite well so that you're actually able to work.
For the working people.
For the working
people. I imagine most of their people are working.
Most of the people are working.
Yeah.
And again, wonderful program because there you have CEOs attending, you have, people like me and others, so you have a great network.
Yeah, business founders.
Business founders.
Different sectors.
They even have people from outside the country who fly in. And it was the people you meet in your class. We had a guy who was, I think, a prince, I don't know, from Bhutan or whatever. We had... I remember a gentleman who used to fly his own plane to come to school.
What?
I mean, those are the type of people you meet in this class.
So a lot of learning. Guys are flying in.
A lot of learnings. You see these people who are,
But I can imagine, John.
Yeah.
When you see someone flying into a class like that
yes.
it also tickles your ambition. It challenges you.
That's my point. It challenges you. Why can't
you? I think one day I should be able to fly.
I want that also.
Like that.
I want that also.
Yeah. Yes. Okay,
so those are that was a wonderful experience actually. Just that when you're at work and then you go and you meet all these people and you argue about all kinds of things. And business school is a lot of case studies.
Yes.
And what I really enjoyed was almost every case study that we did. There was somebody mentioned in it that would be in your
That
class.
you had worked with or you knew
You
from
knew or was in your
your
class.
career.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or somebody you're sitting next to you say, yeah, that used to be my boss.
Aha.
And what they are saying is true.
Oh,
You know
that's
what
the
I
one
mean?
who helped me make
That's
a
one who helped me
decision
do
on
this.
this one.
You're like, wow.
Amazing.
Huh?
Wow.
So you read about these mergers, you read about, companies restructurings, you read about companies that went bankrupt.
Yes.
And somebody is there to say, you know what, I actually worked for that company during that time, and this is what happened.
Yes.
So it was a
This
really
is why it
good,
went wrong.
yes,
Or this is why it went good.
exactly. It
Yeah.
was really good learning.
No, it's good because we have to confront what works and what doesn't work.
Indeed.
The both sides of the coin.
Indeed.
Yeah?
Indeed.
Okay, that's amazing.
So that transition was good. A few culture shocks, even though you're coming home.
Yes.
There are a few culture shocks you still have to go through.
Yeah.
Where Kenya, everybody knows each other, for one.
Yes.
I was used to a place where, nobody knew each other. Your own personal life culture shocks. I was used to walking on the streets, jogging on the streets, doing all these things. You come to Kenya, you're a CEO. Next moment, I'm being told by my senior management, this thing where you're walking to work
Be careful.
from your home or walking home from work, we don't like it.
How was it leading through the merger process?
It's one of the most difficult things you can do, to be honest with you, in business. Because mergers are about people.
Yes.
And people are the most difficult
To adjust.
thing to manage. Back to your point, when you're a CEO, your biggest job is people.
Yes.
That's because it's the hardest job. That's why only CEOs can do it well. So someone told me that the day after we announced our merger, LinkedIn had the busiest day in Kenya.
It was
Because everybody's checking,
NIC.
this is the job I do, let me see who does the job on the other side. Right? I'm
Checking each other
head of this, let me see who is the head of.
Because one of us is
Because
losing
one
a
of
job.
us losing a job.